MrBeast was receiving a lot of hate over the weekend based on a fake news headline that misquoted him saying, "Life is so much easier when you're broke." Well, that certainly is rich to hear from MrBeast, of all people, a multi-millionaire content creator. However, that is not actually what he said on his recent appearance on the Diary of a CEO podcast. This actually had quite the inflammatory headline as well. The video for this podcast episode is titled, "MrBeast, If You Want to Be Liked, Don't Help People." That probably is a direct quote.
I noticed they updated the headline from Kotaku.
Yes, they did. They also changed it. So the headline originally came from Kotaku's report about his interview on Diary of a CEO. They changed it from "Life is easier when you're broke" to "Life is easy when you wake up in your own bed and work 15 hours.
See, he's making it, you know what it is he's making everybody feel self-conscious because they can't put it. So I just played the video last week about internalized capitalism and how if you have the day off and you're not, and you feel guilty about not working on your day off, that's internalized capitalism.
Yeah.
So he's making them feel guilty. They're like, well, I work 12 hours a day. I don't work 15 hours a day. Fuck this guy. We're going to write a hit piece about him.
He's humble bragging a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I mean, life is really easy, guys, when you wake up and, you know, you're only working, what, 15, 16 hours a day?
So this headline from Kotaku drew a lot of ire toward MrBeast, and he responded to it on Twitter saying, "A news site lied and said I said life is so much easier when you're broke, which I didn't say. Now I'm waking up to millions of people believing the lie and hating me. Being famous is so much fun." Thumbs up emoji.
Very sad he is.
So I guess he wants people to like him. He responded to his tweet with the actual clip from the interview. Do you have that clip?
Yeah, I do. Hold on. The crisis meter isn't working.
Oh, it's always something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he said, "Such a shame that only a small percentage of people that saw the slanderous article will see this. Sigh."
Yeah, I got this here. So hold on a second, and we'll see if we can get the crisis meter back. I refreshed it. It should still be working, but it is not. But
I hope so.
here we go. Let's watch this clip here. It's for some reason it's in fast, like they sped it up.
He sped it up.
Yeah, here we go.
It's really killing me, to be honest. It was like so much easier when you're, bro, if you don't travel.
So what he said is it's so much easier, pause,
bro,
when you're, so let's start it over again.
It's really killing me, to be honest. It was like so much easier when you're, bro, if you don't travel constantly, life is so easy when you just wake up in your own bed and like waking up in your own bed and working 15 hours in, you know, your office, whatever. So easy compared to.
So if you heard that, he does.
Okay, so then they go into analysis there.
The famous streamer opened up about health struggles, his obsessive grind set, and receiving death threats in this interview. So here was his full quote. "The more good you do, the more people think you're secretly evil." He talked about his mental health, saying, "If my mental health were a priority, I wouldn't be as successful as I am. We were not meant to receive this kind of feedback from basically anyone, anywhere in the world."
He's right. Like 110%. Like it doesn't, you don't even have to be even close to his level of success for that to be true either. Like it is 100% true that you were not designed to hear the opinions of every single, like the thing is that people phrase it on the internet as if they're just giving you constructive feedback. The thing is though, is constructive feedback was meant to come from people whose opinions you actually valued. Right? Hence the constructive part is like, I can take it as constructive criticism because I know going in that it is not done out of malice. Well, now you have to, people sprinkle in constructive criticism alongside the people that just want to hate for the sake of hating and the people that dislike you on principle, whether it's, especially if you're in this realm here, because a lot of people are going to dislike you just based on what they perceive your political affiliation to be or beliefs to be. So you're going to get a lot of it's not acting in good faith, right? And we were not designed before the internet, believe it or not, like a lot of people, you wouldn't really hear a lot of negative stuff about yourself unless you were screwing up at work or not getting your schoolwork done on time. Like maybe your parents gave you some critiques. Oh, what are you doing with your life and stuff like that? It's your parents. You're expecting that from them. You've developed a relationship with them. That means that you can get through that. But now you open yourself up to endless critique all the time, and people just weren't designed to handle that.
Yeah, and they weren't designed to differentiate the hate from the constructive
Exactly.
criticism. We have a 20 from Zach Hates YouTube. Brett, Suits is so awesome. Went to bed at 4 a.m. because I had to keep watching last night. Tonight is the trial in season 2 about the document Donna destroyed. What a great character. Thanks again for the recommendation. Let's go PCC.
Yes, Suits is great. Donna is great in that show. That whole I really fell off after season 5, but I don't have high hopes for the reboot, or not the reboot, I'm sorry, the sequel show, the spinoff that's being done on NBC right now. Says the pilot was a bit messy and all over the place tonally, but you'll always have that first season. I also think not just Donna, but Jessica, Mike, Lewis, Harvey, they're all great characters. So enjoy. It's one of the best things in the world. Like when I see people liking shows that I suggest, I'm like, I wish I could watch that again for the first time.
And then you never take suggestions.
And then I never
Ironic, isn't it?
I took the Paradise suggestion, and I'm slowly making my way through that. I'm like halfway through episode 2.
Well, to your point about how our brains just aren't built for receiving that level of feedback,
Yeah.
I completely agree. And I think that is why so many influencers, streamers, YouTubers, whatever, get to a point of no return and end up in an echo chamber where people are only praising them and they're surrounded by yes men. And I think that that's the world most people imagine Mr. Beast to be in. Like that he's just surrounded by a bunch of henchmen.
I mean, in the real world, that might be true.
Cater to his whims and don't criticize him. And from the looks of it, he actually didn't realize the level of trouble that he was in with his association with Chris Tyson, and didn't realize the actual threat that posed to his brand, especially having so many young people and kids following him. It's because you get to a saturation point with bad faith comments and good faith criticism where it all starts to look the same.
Well, eventually you just start telling everyone to fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's
exactly.
that's the way. Like whenever if people and I'm that way because I just don't want to change.
Yeah.
Just F off. I don't care.
But he could see perfectly good faith criticism of his association with Chris Tyson, and at a certain point, it would look the same thing. It looked like the same thing as someone calling Chris Tyson a slur.
I mean,
it would all start to blend together.
And then you have to get into like concern trolling,
Yeah.
like the type of person who's like, oh, look, bro, not a good look. A lot of that, like a person could come to you completely in good faith and say something like that, but a concern troll looks a heck of a lot like that if you don't know how to tell the difference.
So we get to this point in the interview where he's talking about the demands of his job. He claims, MrBeast claims that his job was killing him because he doesn't ever stop working. I work every hour my eyes are awake. The average person does not want to live this life. In my head, just working all the time, and they would probably ask themselves, why am I working all the time? I don't do literally anything else. It's harder for MrBeast to work beyond the human need to sleep, and he was also dealing with health struggles. I just get sick all the time. I get random rashes and things like that. It's pretty brutal, to be honest, and it randomly clears up sometimes and just makes you very sick, very tired, hurts like crazy. It feels like someone's stabbing me in the gut with a knife constantly.
Here's the problem. The current socio-political climate in this country, you'll not be rewarded for any of that because of your wealth. You could be rewarded of that. Like people could be really pumped about all of that and tell you how much your life sucks and how much they wish you were not struggling so much if you were poor. If you were poor, all of those criticisms or all of those things that are happening to you would be considered valid. But since you're not poor, they're going to tell you to shut the fuck up.
Your problems are
And one of the
fake
things I've
problems.
said from the beginning on this show is like, look, struggle is relative. Person to person struggle is relative. So you cannot pretend like rich people don't also have their own struggles. The only problem is most rich people don't understand that to the rest of us, to most people, they just don't want to hear it because their concern is usually financial. So look, just because somebody has a bunch of money doesn't mean they don't have family trouble or problems at work. It's just that most people don't want to hear it because they're struggling on a much more base level. And there is a certain level of decorum that you'd think that they would understand. But
hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, but it doesn't make the struggle any less real to them. It just makes them less, I guess, palatable to the rest of us.
But it's true. Mo money, mo problems. And this is the point where they start throwing shade at MrBeast. Despite the pain, mental health problems, and death threats, all this work has made MrBeast a lot of money, right? Well, probably, but he claims that he has less than $1 million in his bank account.
I believe that because he reinvests it all, I'm sure.
Less than I expected, though there are some really big numbers between $1 and $999,000. But while it's clear that MrBeast has money and a lot of it, if you ask him about it, it seems like he doesn't like being rich. He says, it was so much easier when you don't travel constantly. Life is so easy when you just wake up in your own bed and work 15 hours, compared with all this effing bullshit where I'm like, I don't know the time zone I'm in. I don't know what place I'm in.
Again,
some days I'm going to 10 a.m. Other days I'm going to 5 p.m.
To the rest of us, those aren't the same concerns, and they can't jive with you on that. They just can't. They're like, bro, I'm looking where I need to know where my next meal is going to come from. Bro, I need to figure out how to pay off my student loans. All of the real world struggles that most people have that are based around finances also feel more dire. Okay? It's very different to not know where your next meal is going to come from than wondering what time zone you're in. And pretending like they're the same is ridiculous.
Well, now that MrBeast called Kotaku out, failing Kotaku issued their correction at the end of this article saying a prior version incorrectly quoted MrBeast saying easier when you're broke when speaking about the challenges of his lifestyle. The misquote came from a transcript provided by PR for the Diary of a CEO podcast ahead of the episode's airing. MrBeast has since clarified his statement in a post on X, and we've updated the quote and article headline accordingly. So allegedly, this is actually the fault of whoever is doing PR for the podcast he appeared on.
Yeah.
Not the fault of Kotaku. But with Kotaku's personal track record, I find that hard to believe. They do have it out for MrBeast for whatever reason. He just grinds their gears, and they have a real hate boner for him.
Yep.
I get it because he's kind of annoying. Like, I don't think that he's super charismatic and likable, personally, but I don't really understand where the hatred and outrage comes from with some people towards him. It's not even like they can hate on him for being a billionaire. He's not even a billionaire.
Nope.
He can't be really put in that
Manual.
specific group. Thank you.
I set it off manually. One crisis party.
That'll have to do for now.
It will.
MrBeast is never going to understand how hard it is to dance to crisis parties.
Seriously, bro.
For money. He's never going to understand our struggle.
It's sad.
It's really a first world problem.
I guess this is one of those things that I always end up, it's very, the struggles that normal people have are valid. The things that bother rich people are also valid. And when you start casting off another person's struggles as non-existent, not to say that they're not that yours are not also important, but when we start casting them off as unimportant, we end up in the weird class struggle where people say, oh, and this is a very long way to this path, but now we're at a point where they're saying, like, well, that CEO worked for a medical company or for an insurance company. He deserved to die. Because of his insurance, right? Like there are haves and have-nots in this country, and the mindset that separates them is that a lot of people that are less than well-to-do in this country still have the desire to grow and do better and make more. But there's also a growing consensus in this country of people who don't want to try because they feel like the game is rigged. I can't even say that's necessarily that it's hard to believe that people get there.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the rising costs of housing and medical care and all of the things.
Even eggs.
And eggs and all of that. It's not hard to understand where the sentiment comes from, even if I disagree with the final conclusion.
Right. Yeah, I have noticed that the outrage is getting to a boiling point, and
so like
I don't know what can be done to change it.
So when MrBeast airs his concerns, I'm not saying that those concerns aren't relevant. I'm saying that when it comes pragmatically, when it comes to promoting your brand, most people just don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It's not to say that
However,
they're not real.
a lot of people actually do want to hear it because he did an appearance on this podcast to talk about his struggles, and millions of people tuned in to watch.
Again,
so
it's like
there is an actual
it's
interest.
like the Casey Anthony thing. It's like for every 5 that dislike you, you'll get 1 that likes you. So it doesn't really matter. He does end up everywhere. He does end up everywhere. And yes, eggs are expensive because they called like a gazillion chickens last year. So shocking.
Bird flu.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.